Hey friends, this is a short bonus episode. I recently did a follow-up call with Blake Cason from episode 28 about sending her project Joe Sixpack, a notoriously hard 13A at the VRG. You can find a short teaser for that in your episode feed that's about 10 minutes long and explains how my Patreon works and how to get access to follow-up episodes. Blake and I also spent about 20 minutes talking about a new coaching collaboration that she is a part of called Climb Well, and about some upcoming retreats they have planned for the spring. And I wanted to share that conversation here for all of my listeners in case some of you are interested in participating. The dates are April 8th through 11th and April 22nd through 25th, and both retreats will be held in Vail, Utah, just outside of St. George. Signups are going on now, and Blake is offering listeners to this podcast 10% off. If you enjoyed Blake's episode and are interested in mindfulness coaching or in leaning deeper into performance climbing and tackling some of the mental hangups that many of us face as climbers, or if you are interested in finding a better balance with climbing and your job or the rest of your life and want some guidance there, these retreats really sound like an incredible opportunity to learn and do some self-development with some excellent coaches. And they sound incredibly fun as well. If you want to learn more, you can find links to Climbwell and the retreats page right there in your podcast app, along with a discount for 10% off. And without further ado, here's Blake Cason. All right, well, I want to switch gears. Another thing that we talked about when we chatted over the summer was your excitement about these upcoming collaborative retreats that you were doing with Climbwell. And of course, at the time, and I mean, still, we're dealing with this pandemic, and hopefully now with vaccinations, things are opening up, and you guys are going to do this retreat. But over the summer, it was something you were looking forward to and kind of loosely planning, but it was very much up in the air, and now it sounds like it's happening.
Yes.
So that's super exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the Climbwell retreats. What is it? What's going on?
Yeah. So basically, one way of that we've described it is like it's creating a community of climbers where we can hold and create space for us as climbers to learn and grow, both as humans but also as athletes. So really combining and honoring the human experience in climbing and the climbing experience in the rest of our lives, and kind of how those intersect and what it's like to navigate that. Like, so much of our previous conversation is about it is the heart of Climbwell, where we're talking about kind of our relationship to climbing and what can grow that and what can diminish that, and also in the rest of our lives, like what, when to lean into the growth of other areas of our lives and when to kind of set that growth aside and turn to something else. So that's the Climbwell approach overall. And we're doing that especially through coaching. Like, all three of us are coaches, mind body experts in our fields, and climbers, doing that through coaching, through mindfulness, but also actually like leaning into the actual practice and application. So beyond just talking about it, like, what does this look like in our real lives? What does this look like in our climbing and our performance? And so the festival is basically the culmination, the expansion of those kind of concepts into kind of an intensive almost, or almost like a summit of like really diving into and digging into these concepts and how we see them and how they could apply to our lived experiences. So it'll be, so it's this April. There are two different rounds, or two different dates. So the second week and the fourth weekend of April. And
each one is 4 days?
Each one is 4 days in St. George, or north of St. George, in Vail, at this. It's a lot of people have heard about it. It's a Vail pool and resort. There's this really cool hot or it's a spring. It's not a hot spring, but the pool is like 70 degrees. So it's like really
Oh,
pleasant.
wow.
Anyways, yeah. So anyways, there's a pool, but there's also on this private land, there are, I think they said like 400 routes, and it's, basalt. So it's lots of corners and arêtes and really cool, like some techie face climbs, some steeper stuff. It's exceptional climbing. I've heard of people talk about this place before, and it was always kind of like, I don't know. It's like this random spot you have to pay to get in, and we went and spent a weekend climbing there before we decided to use this location. And no joke, it is exceptional climbing, like incredible quality stone. The climbing is super fun and varied. It's cool to get to climb all these different features.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's where we'll be hosting it, and so it'll be a combination of more discussion based, reflection based workshops, and then building on those discussion, reflection based workshops, building on those in also like climbing based clinics where we're going to be kind of taking those practices into our climbing. So talking about like befriending fear. Okay. Like working through digesting some of that, around fear and the cost and benefit of things like fear in our climbing, and then playing with that in a clinic real time applied format where we're like trying different strategies, things like being specifically aware of our thoughts and what that means. So this spring iterations will be smaller. There'll be about 12 participants. So we'll get a chance to have a lot more intimate coaching than, what often we experience at, say, like a bigger climbing festival where it's, we're learning these things, but we're kind of applying it on our own. So with these retreats, it's a lot more engagement directly with us as coaches and with the kind of the process of what we're talking and learning about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you touched on this when we talked over the summer, but can you remind me who the team is, the coaching team?
Yeah. So Remy Franklin, who is a life coach and a performance rock climber, and
he's a beast. He's climbed 14B or C or something.
Yes. Okay, so you do. I think he mentioned that he did know you. Yes, he's a beast, super strong. Yeah, it's been so cool getting to know him. And similarly, both of these humans I feel so truly grateful and honored to know these two humans because they're just spectacular. So Remy Franklin and Gabby Coletta. So Gabby Coletta is a rock climber. She is a advanced practice yoga teacher and yoga trainer. She's an Ayurvedic counselor. She has this just wealth of mind-body integrative wellness expertise. So she brings in the like a really holistic perspective, and Remy and I are a little bit more on the coaching side of things, and all three of us are definitely, it is equally all of our vision together, which has been so cool to kind of build off of each other's vision and intention and expertise. Like there are some aspects that I felt like I brought in, that Remy brought in, that Gabby brought in, and then getting to blossom all of, those different things with each other has been pretty, just like super, super special. Yeah.
Can you give me kind of a overall layout of what the 4 days might look like what people can expect if they sign up?
Yeah. So, some things to expect would be, it will be overall like bigger picture stuff. It'll be camping. We'll be outside, with rock climbing access, like right next to our camping, which makes things like really easy and also fun. We can get a lot done in the clinics in that way because they're right next to us. So the overall like day structure, especially for the 2 full days, would be like an option of yoga in the morning, fully catered. So a really delicious. The caterer that we found is incredible. Breakfast, and then moving into the more like discussion based, slightly shorter reflection workshop, kind of like the pre-workshop for the then having lunch, and then moving into the rock climbing clinic. So the rock climbing clinics being like around befriending fear or performance climbing. You might think of like projecting, but even more zoomed out from projecting, just performance climbing. Rock life balance would be more of like a discussion workshop. And then the art of attention is another one that we're doing. And that would be like more of a climbing clinic. And so then we'd move into these longer climbing clinics where we have a bigger chunk of time, like 4 hours to practice together, reflect and learn from that practice together, reflect and learn. And then also within both of the workshop spaces, whether it's a shorter one or the longer clinics, getting a chance to get direct feedback on like, okay, well, this is what came up for me, or this is my question, or this is what I've been struggling with, and getting coached in the moment about those things. But especially in the clinic, the opportunity to get like real time, like right next to you coaching and processing is so invaluable. And I think that's a lot of the marrow and the real value of an opportunity like this. Is it's not just something where like, okay, well, I'll take this home and try it out on my own, but that you're getting to try it out and like digest it and build on it in the moment. So having those longer clinics, and then having an opportunity to, we'll be having, kind of like fitness and, physio PT experts coming in to do like little mini, like cool downs, or like kind of mini, body work workshops, but applied. So like either cool. yoga for climbers, or cool down stretching, or, injury prevention with a PT, like things like that. So getting a little bit of like body decompression, with expert guidance after like our longer days together. And then dinner, we'll be having speakers, slideshows, things like that in the evening. Like I think we'll have a speaker/slideshow, have like a more festive night after that, and things like that. So it'll be equally about connection and play. Like that is one of our top values, is that not only are we learning and growing together, but that we're like playing and keeping it light, and keeping it also just about the experience, and not always about like perfecting our rock climbing, but just like learning some stuff, and then like clocking out of personal growth and just playing and hanging out.
It sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
Who is it for?
Yeah, good question. It's for folks that want to either integrate climbing more into their life, or life more into their climbing. So that like it can be folks that are already like really experienced rock climbers and like performance climbers, and they feel like they have their climbing on lockdown, and they're like, well, but I also like other areas of my life I don't feel like I have on lockdown, and what does that look like for me? And similar folks that are interested in that are climbing, one of the things that's important to us and important to kind of the presentation is that it is experienced climbers. So the folks being comfortable, competent climbers at the bare minimum, at like they're solid 5'10", 5'11" climbers, and they're wanting to expand their climbing even more. They're like, there is a total absence of sufficient mentorship. And so part of the offering and the intention, and for, you know, who the audience is folks looking for mentorship, into, you know, developing into stronger, more confident climbers. And folks that are excited to connect with other people that are into these same concepts and want to learn and grow in this way. And yeah, and want to also share their own expertise and their own experiences, because that's absolutely what this is about. It's about creating a community of climbers, and that doesn't. The intention with that is that we're offering a starting place. We're offering what we know. We're offering a particular edge of expertise, and creating a space for others to contribute to that and to mentor in different ways, because we all have expertise in this. Like somebody might be sending 514, but can't hold a job down. Somebody might be like, and what they can learn from somebody who has a really strong, say, career framework in their lives, and just doesn't really know how to hold space for climbing so that they can pursue climbing the way they want. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that, like, what might a 514 climber take away?
Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah. And exactly. And that was for me a really big thing coming into it, was like and something that we've worked really, really hard to be aware of is that these will meet the workshops individually and collectively will respect the spectrum of people that might need this space of personal growth and climbing growth, and that they will, like they're not necessarily going to be clinics about like, this is how you hangboard, because there's a lot of people that know how to hangboard. So they are more of the integration of where you at, what is working, and where are the gaps that you're seeing. And then let's explore it through this concept of fear or life balance or performance climbing. Because, a 514 climber, they might have a sense of some aspects of performance climbing that are working really well for them. And with a little bit of reflection, might find that, it might also be a little too much performance climbing, or whatever, that it's leaving space for all sides of it. And with that being said, the 514 climber, the opportunity for them is also to mentor other people and to offer what they've learned. Cause we've all, I think, to get to that level, 513, 514 rock climbing, it takes mentorship, and we have all received mentorship in our own ways, and, offering that to others in a reciprocal way where even the 514 climber is still getting their own degree of mentorship that they might not have had before.
Mm-hmm. Cool. When are the dates again?
Yeah, so they're April 8th through 11th. So that's the second weekend in April, and then April 22nd through 25th.
Okay.
And tickets are live, and you actually, for your listeners, there's a discount code for you and your listeners, the Nugget 10. So that's 10% off of the ticket fee for these 4 days of transformative workshops and coaching and obviously climbing and connecting. So, yeah. Awesome.
Is there a deadline?
They're open until filled at this point.
Okay. You said a dozen slots each?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one thing I was going to say. Oh, also, we also want folks to know that that there is also a scholarship option and opportunity within these. So each will be offering 4 scholarship slots. That's wildly important to all 3 of us, that folks are able to attend with, like, even given financial barriers, like if there's their commitment, the willingness, and the readiness, that's one way that we're trying to like just open the doors to other folks are these 4 scholarship slots. So I'll definitely want to emphasize that to folks to get curious, reach out, apply. If this sounds like it's your spot, your space that you want to be, and there's a financial barrier. So.
Okay. And I'll link to your website where you can buy tickets and all that sort of stuff, and the scholarship thing in the episode notes. So you can find that right now in your podcast app. But yeah, where can people learn more?
So the website is climbwell, climbwell.co, climbwell.co. And and then /retreat is where you're going to find more information about the retreat. And there's not a ton to get lost in on the website, so you could probably just start at the main URL and get to know us a little bit. And then the retreat information is there. And follow us on. You can find us on Instagram at climbwell.co. That's where you can find more information. Connect with us, please. If you have any questions, reach out. Just ask us what your questions or concerns are. We try to do our best to provide as much information as possible, and you might find a gap that might be helpful for us to know. So let us know if there's any questions.
Awesome. Anything else on Climbwell?
No, I'm really
everything?
excited. And yeah, thanks for letting me get back on, inviting me to get back on and talk about it, because we're just like so stoked to the moon about this, and want it to fill, and also want to support, especially to support your audience and support the folks that are supporting us with discounted tickets and a little bit more information about it to give a little bit more perspective than just like the black and white description, website description stuff. So
sure. Yeah, well, it's my pleasure. It sounds, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it sounded awesome. And it sounds like an incredibly cool event. So, and I think this is the right target group. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are interested in this type of thing. So, my pleasure. I really hope that you fill both of the retreats. And it sounds like an incredible 4-day experience.
Yes. Yeah. We're really excited. Like getting everything. It's been definitely a labor of love. Like we've been planning it for a long time and putting it off, and now feel like with vaccines, with our much better understanding of the pandemic, that with it being outside, and we also have, with that being said, we also have really clear COVID policy to keep everybody safe, and cancellation policy based on, the tenuous situation of COVID. So we've been really, really thoughtful and intentional about how we work with that, and in a way that we can still connect in a way that works for this context, and works for works for the community, and also given that we're in a pandemic. So.
Perfect. I'm glad you shared that, because I meant to ask about that and I forgot.
Yeah, totally. It's so relevant. Like we were so bummed when we weren't able to do it this fall in October, because we started planning it like a year and a half ago, or talking about it. And so the opportunity to just like, all right, let's adjust. And how could this work? And what could that look like was really, I'm so glad that I had these two people with me, because there were definitely times when I was like, it's all screwed. Like it's never going to happen. and just because and so having other folks there that were like, yes. And how could it work? And so we're really confident that this is how it can work.
Cool. Is this going to be an ongoing thing? If people are listening and they're intrigued, but maybe the dates don't work for them this time around?
Yes. So our intention right now is to do another one in the fall, and we'll decide kind of how that looks. What number, how we want to do numbers. I have a strong sense it'll be in Veo again, but actually I don't know. It might not. We might switch it up. So yes, we'll keep doing these, the more intimate, kind of intensive retreats, and then probably starting to expand it to like a bigger offering, so a lower price point. And so these will continue with their, Remy. I'm going to put Remy on the spot, and maybe he wanted this accountability, and that's why he said it. Remy really wants to do a podcast, so we'll see if that happens. So like, there's a lot of different ways that we're excited to grow together, and this is the start. This is our first official offering as a threesome. So,
hey friends, I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to learn more about Climbwell and their upcoming retreats, you can find links to everything right there in your podcast app, along with the 10% off discount code. And the retreats page has information about scholarships as well. I hope you have an excellent rest of your week and weekend. We'll see you back here for another full-length episode on Monday. And as always, thank you so much for listening.